welcome back to the Beach Bum Bookworm. I am Tiffany. I'm so glad y'all found me again today. My channel's all about cozy mysteries and romance books, and today I'm doing my 2024 Cozy Mystery new series wrap-up. So, these are the 2024, or the 24 Cozy Mystery series I wanted to start in 2024. Did I start them? How did I like them? Am I going to continue them? And so forth. Spoiler, I think I started them all. I think. However, I will say there are series I'm going to continue. There are series I'm on the fence about continuing. There was one soft DNF. I hate that. I might come back to it. That's why I'm calling it soft. So I'm going to tell you all about them. Let's just go. We're talking about my 2024 new series, how I did in 3, 2, 1, go. As always, don't forget to hit the like, subscription, notification bell. All of those things help us out tremendously. Support is absolutely free. I can't thank you enough for all your support. I'm having the best time. I have so much fun talking to you about books, so I can't thank you enough. Thank you. So the first one that I have is the Cat Ladimir series. This is by Lynn Cahoon. Book number 1 is called A Story to Kill. This features English professor Cat Ladimir, and she, let me get back to my notes, because this one, I don't remember where it took place. In Colorado, opens up a B&B, but it's going to be a writer's retreat. So in the first one, she has this big named writer come, and sadly, bad stuff happens, and she's like, oh my gosh, is my business going to be done before it even gets started, sort of thing. I enjoyed it. I will read book 2, but I'm not sold on this series. Next up at number 2 was the Cora Crafts Cozy Mystery series. This is by Molly Cox Bryan. Number 1 is called Death Among the Doilies, and this features Cora. And is it Cora or Cora? Yeah. Cora. And Cora is a counselor at a women's shelter, and she decides she kind of wants to reinvent herself and still do good work, but in another way. So she opens this crafts and like relaxation B&B. What does she call it? She says she pours most of her savings into a craft retreat business. So they come and do the crafts that are most important to them, that give them self-care, but also then do some other type of healing exercises, meditation, and different stuff along the way. I loved it. I cannot wait to read more in this series. It was so good. And the cover on this one's amazing because those are my 2 favorite colors. There are 4 books in this. I wish it would have gone longer because I do think it's over. The first one was amazing. Loved it. Next up at number 3 was the Costume Shop series. This is by Diane Valier. Book number 1 is called A Disguise to Die For. This was on my favorites of 2024. I loved this book so much. This features Margot, and this takes place in Nevada, about maybe an hour from Vegas. I think it's a fictional town. And our main character, Margot, has grown up working at her family's costume shop. Her mother, I believe, is deceased. She's definitely not in the picture. Dad is a single dad. And when she turns 18, she's like, this is my job. I want to work at the costume shop. I love it so much. And her dad's like, look, I'm good with that because, I want you to be happy. However, I want to make sure that this is what you want and not just the only thing that you know. So I need you to go out and kind of explore the world and make sure that this is what you really want to do. So she, when we meet her, is working in Vegas she was a magician's assistant, which is so cool. And now when the book starts, she was working at a casino. And her dad has a medical emergency, and she comes home to the little town that I was telling you about to help with the shop and help take care of him and kind of help him recuperate from this emergency. And it was amazing. Like I said, it was one of my favorites of the year. The main character wears a different costume every day based upon her moods that she gets, and then it's a costume shop, so she can find anything in the shop. It was so good. Her dad was hilarious. As people age, they don't like their independence taken away, and he's a little frustrated that he can't do some of the things he used to, or that he's being watched by his daughter. And so he like sneaks off with a friend to go to Area 51 to explore, and to then also, I think, get some alien costumes for the shop. But it was so funny. He's just gone. Like, he just sneaks off like you would as a teenager. Thought it was hilarious. So in the first book, basically, there is a rich group of kids that are throwing these big elaborate parties. Shocking. And this guy, who is one of the kids in this rich group, who is very, pretentious and cocky and all those sort of things, comes into the shop, and he's like, hey, I'm hosting a literary themed murder mystery party. So come as your favorite character. Sherlock Holmes, Poirot, Marple, that sort of thing. And I need these costumes. Basically, I think it was like in a day or two. She's like, I can't do that. He's like, well, here's $20,000 in cash. Can you now? And she's like, yes, I can. I can make it happen. So she does. And then at the costume party, things go awry. And the main suspect is one of her family's closest family friends. So she grew up with this lady. She considers her like a grandmother figure. And so she's going to figure out what's going on. Like I said, I can't say enough about it. I loved it. I cannot wait to read the other two in this series. I'm so sad that it's only a trilogy. It was so much fun. Of course, costume shops are right up my alley. So alas. Next up at number 4 is the All Day Breakfast Cafe Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Lena Gregory. Book number 1 is called Scone Cold Killer. This features Gia. And Gia had a rocky marriage. She ends it. She separates from him. Her husband was scamming people. She's like, oh, I don't want any part of this. When revenge starts to happen, I need to get out of Dodge. And she moves. I think it's from New York. Yes. So she was in New York, and she comes to Florida where her best friend is, and she decides to open this breakfast cafe. Well, her past comes riding in the form of her ex-husband, and then he ends up dead. And she's like, oh my gosh, I have to figure out what's going on. And are they coming after me because he scammed a bunch of really important people? Sort of thing. Really enjoyed it. I gave the first one 4 cups of coffee. I will definitely continue with this series. And I believe I'm trying to see how many there are. There are 7 books out in this series. Next up is the Deep Lakes Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Joyanne Reiber. This was unfortunately my soft DNF. Book number 1 is called Deep Dark Secrets. And listen, I'm definitely calling it a soft DNF because it might have been me. Because this series, even when I look at the premise, it sounds amazing. This features Frankie. I love the name Frankie, by the way. And she opens up the coolest place called Bubble and Bake. It's a bakery by day and a wine lounge by night in like this ski area, like ski resort area. This is so up my alley. I love this premise so much. I had just read one of my favorite books of the year right before this, like one of my top favorite books of the year. And I don't know if that skewed my judgment moving into another book right away. And it just, I don't know. I feel like I need to give it another shot, that it was more me than the book. So I will be doing this read again at some point this year. And I love the cover on this one. Next up is the Darla's Delectible Food Truck Cozy Mystery Series. Say that 5 times fast. I know I can't. This is by Susan Harper. First book is called Poison in the Pastries. This is a 12-book series. I gave the first one 3.5 stars. I will continue to read it, but I'm not going to jump on it to get to it. This is all available on Kindle Unlimited. It features Darla, and she opens a food truck. This one is very self-explanatory. That's what you got going on. And I love food trucks and cozies. I just think it's such a fun premise. Next up is the Sally and Pearl Adventure Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Wendy Day. The first book is called Mexico's Margaritas and Murder. I did read it. I gave it 3 cups of coffee. I think that, again, this might be more on me than the book. I was like This was probably one of my most anticipated reads of the year. It features elderly women. It made a reference to, oh yeah, okay. So Golden Girls meets Thelma and Louise was the catchphrase. They travel. It just, I was like, okay, check, check, check. This is going to be like a 6-star read for me. And I think I built it up too much in my head. I ended up, like I said, giving it 3 to 3.5 stars. I definitely will continue with this series. Someone else that read it told me that the second book was better than the first one. And so I'm really excited about continuing this series. And I loved the 2 ladies in it. They were a hoot, and I can't wait to revisit them. Next up was the Ghost Town Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Jamie L. Adams. Book number 1 is called Murder at the Mine. And oh my gosh, this has such a fun premise. It is a ghost town. Exactly. Our main character, Lily, she comes back home and she is going to manage the, what is it actually called? The Calico Rock Mine and Ghost Town. And it is set up like an Old West themed town. And there are skits and everybody's dressed up. And there's like old saloon and this is, again, right up my alley. I love anything that dress up, make-believe, theater, plays, skits. Yes, 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 yes. I gave this first one 3 stars. I definitely will continue reading this series. There are 4 books in it. And let me see. I believe it's on KU, but I don't want to say that until I verify it. So let me look at my notes really quick. Come on, computer. I'm glad I did not say that because it is available on Kindle, but it is not a Kindle Unlimited. Again, I definitely will be continuing this series. What a fun premise. Next up is the Texas Flower Farm Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Jackie Layton. First book is called Weeding Out Lies. I gave this 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. There are now 2 books out. I will definitely be reading number 2. This features what is our main gal's name, Emma. And this takes place in Texas. And Emma owns a flower farm. And she is just starting her business. And she is delivering flowers to different residences and businesses. And she basically is delivering these flowers to somebody and they are gone. And so we have to figure out what's going on. And I absolutely loved a flower farm. It was so flower shops, flower farms. I don't feel like we have enough of those. What a cool place for a cozy. I really loved our character. And Jackie Layton is, I'm not kidding you, one of the sweetest women I have ever met. She and her husband are so, so sweet. I absolutely love them. I definitely will be reading number 2 soon. Next up is the German Bakery Cozy Mystery Series. Book number 1 is called An Old-Fashioned Christmas Murder. And I don't know if you have heard me talk about this. I'm making a joke because I've been talking about this book a lot because it was probably in my top 5 favorite books of the year. I didn't rank them. It was on my favorites list for 2024, but what I'm saying to you is if I did rank them, this would probably be in the top 5, maybe the top 3. I loved it so much. I can't say enough about it. It may be the fact that book 1 took place at Christmas already earned it a star starting out. I don't know, but I enjoyed the ride. This features Fern, and Fern and her family, well, her family owns this German bakery. It's been in the family for years, and she works there. And this book was so cozy. So she works at the German bakery. They have a friend. She has a family friend that she grew up with this boy, and her parents and his parents are friends. They own a shop right down the road. She lives in this like house that's been converted into apartments, and the apartment owner like keeps everything very communal. So he has coffee in the morning set out for everybody where they can gather and talk and chat. Christmas party. It just, and our love interest moves into the apartment. Like he comes into town and needs a place. It's not like they meet when he moves in, not like, oh, she met him and is like, hey, come and live in this apartment. He is the vet in town, and I loved his character so much. I can't wait to see where that goes. And then at the very end of the book, she talks her best friend, the guy that I was telling you about, into moving into this apartment. So I feel like there's going to be so many more shenanigans and activities together, and I cannot wait. I hope this series goes for a long time. I can't say enough about my enjoyment of book 1. This was like a 6-star read for me. Everything about it just worked, and I loved, there was a lot of German culture that I didn't know about, and recipes, and talking about the food, and oh, it was so good. It was so, so, so good. And it took place at Christmas. Again, that can hurt nothing to me. Oh, it was such a good read. I cannot wait. It is on my SAS list for this year. No questions asked. Next up is another favorite from 2024. It is the Northwoods Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Annie McEwen, and book number 1 is called Resort to Murder. Oh, let me tell you, these are my favorite covers on cozies. I mean, like in the top favorite of all the series I've ever read. These are like top favorite covers. I love them so much. It just looks like what I think a cozy. When I picture cozy in my own head, this is what I see. A fireplace and the colors that are cozy and the blanket and the chair for reading and the creepy guy standing outside. And no, let's subtract the creepy guy standing outside. I'm just kidding. Okay, so when I say that this was in my favorites, this again was probably very high up in my favorites. Book number 1 was so good. This features Emmy Cooper, and Emmy comes back to Northwoods, Wisconsin after something happens with her job, and she just needs a break. And her family owns a little village of cottages in the Northwoods area at Lake Covington, and oh my goodness, her parents have the sweetest relationship with each other, but also with her and her brother. And they have these 2 dogs in this series, and one of them might need a little therapy because he might have some problems, with taking things. I don't know. And her high school friends, it's just written so well. Every aspect of it is so cozy. Her friends to me are so relatable. It was one of my favorite things. Marcus with the mullet and Whitney, they are 2 of her high school friends that like she falls right into the same spot. I feel like that's so relatable because if I went home to my hometown today, I could call my girlfriends from high school and it would feel like we were 17 again. Like that's how we act when we get together. And I don't mean immature, but just like we can pick up right where we left off. And if I needed help with something, that was another thing that happened with Marcus and Whitney that I so related to was she called them and she's like, hey, I might need some help with. They're like, we're in, come get us. She's like, well, you don't know what I'm going to say. It could be illegal. They're like, we don't care. Just come get us. And I feel like I had those friends in my life from high school. It was just so relatable. I loved everything about this series. I can't say enough about the cover, about the series. I loved book 2. Number 3 comes out, I believe, in February. I believe 3 comes out in February. I am reading it right now. That's all I'm going to say about it. It has another amazing cover, which is out. So go check out the cover for book 3. And I'm so excited for you guys. It is so good. I will stay caught up on this series forever. Just so we're talking about, will I continue? Yes, I will continue. Next up is the Great Witches Baking Show Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Nancy Warren. There are 9 books out in this series. Book number 1 is called The Great Witches Baking Show. And it was okay. I give it 3 stars. It's just paranormal and probably a little too paranormal for me. And so I'm probably not the target audience. If you like paranormal, I highly recommend this series because it's a spinoff, obviously, The Great British Bake Off, which I love. And so I was so excited for this. Again, 9 books. This features Poppy, and Poppy is a contestant in The Great Witches Bake Off. But she doesn't know at the time that she's a witch. That's all I'm going to say. And like I said, if you're into paranormal, and especially if you're into like the Great British Bake Off or baking in general, check this series out. Next up is the Tucson Valley Retirement Community Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Mary Blessy. Book number 1 is called Dying to Go. I, for sure, will be continuing this series. I think I put it on my SAS list. Actually, I don't think. I know I did. Book 1 was so good. There are 9 books in this series. This features Rosie, and Rosie's dad is going to have knee surgery, I believe, if I remember correctly. Don't like test me on the details because I lie sometimes. Unintentionally, but I'm just kidding. But I believe he's having knee surgery, and she goes to help her mom and him. And she's like, Mom and Dad, who are you friends with? What are you doing? Like, she's like become the parent in the relationship, which is kind of funny. I was attracted to this series for this main reason. It was, the title alone, and because I love retirement communities, and that means seniors. I love seniors, but Rosie is named after all 4 Golden Girls combined. I was sold, and it was exactly what I wanted. I gave the first one, I think, 5 stars. Like I said, it's on my SAS list, so I definitely will be continuing this series, and I can't wait to read more. Next up, I read the American in Paris Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Colleen Cambridge. Book 1 is called Mastering the Art of French Murder. This features Julia Child's fictional best friend. And I love Julia Childs. I just thought that was such an interesting premise. It's a historical cozy. I loved it. I definitely will be continuing it. Right now, there are 3 books out in this series, and I definitely will be reading more from it. Next up is the Crime Chowder Cozy Mystery Series. Book 1 is going to be right here. I didn't write down the title. I am sorry. This is by Hilary Avis, and I enjoyed book 1. I will continue it. However, this is a series that was a soup cozy mystery, and there wasn't a lot of soup in it. However, I believe that somebody told me that book 2, she opens a soup kiosk and a train depot. And now I'm more intrigued, and back to I am totally in, because the idea of something like a train depot as a location for a cozy, or the main location for cozy, is so intriguing to me, and I really want a soup cozy. So those combined, I am 100% back in. Yes, I can't wait. Next up is the Zen Goat Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Jana Rawlings, who is AKA Paula Charles. Book 1 is called An Escape Goat. This was another 6-star read. It was one of my favorites of the year. I absolutely loved it. Our girl, Callie, she wants to eventually be doing yoga on a beach. I think it's specifically Costa Rica. But in the meantime, she needs to make some money to make that happen. And she has a side of the family that she didn't know, because, families are complicated. And so she finds this great aunt and uncle who are now older, and they have invited her to come to New Hampshire, which is my first New Hampshire cozy. So thank you, Paula, to start a yoga retreat so that she can make some money and then, follow her dream eventually. And so we meet her great aunt and uncle were fabulous characters. I loved them so much. So, of course, some of the family that doesn't know her are questioning her motives, and like, who is this lady that's like moving in with her great aunt and uncle? Is she trying to, hone in on, I don't know, whatever they think. They're goats. I'm not sure. Anyways, she starts this yoga. I just created a new word, goga. Does it work? Like, yoga with goats can be called goga? Okay. Anyways, back on track. Sorry, if you are new here, it's like this all the time. So she starts a goat yoga retreat studio at her great aunt and uncle's, and the first group that is coming, the main gal, the primary guest, is this big social influencer, and she is exactly what you would think of as a big social influencer. And her friends, I'm putting friends in quotes because none of them were really friends to each other, but supposedly they were best friends, come with her. And one is even worse than her, which I don't know how you can have happen, but they're very much a mean girl group, right? And the main gal ends up dead, and they're trying to figure out what is going on. And in the meantime, you have some hoots and laughs, and I loved it. It was so good. And the goat, Bugsy, is adorable. I'll stand by it. I can't wait to read more, and I absolutely loved an scapegoat. Highly recommend. Next up is a cruise ship cozy. Book 1, I believe, is called Killer Cruise. This is by A.R. Winters. I gave this 3 cups of coffee, 3.5 cups of coffee. This features Adrienne. She decides it's fun to work on a cruise ship. That's all I needed to know. I will continue this, but I'm not going to hop on the next one. There are 16 books in this series. When I feel in the mood for a cruise ship cozy, I'll reach for it. Next up is the Alaska Campground series. This was a highly anticipated read for me. I'll put the first book right here. This is by Julie Ecker, and I don't know if I'll read number 2 or not. I think I was, like I said, highly anticipating because I don't think there's enough Alaskan cozies. I love the idea of cozies in Alaska, and there's just not very many. So like I said, it was a highly anticipated read, and I did enjoy it, but I think I am the fault. Hi, I'm the problem. Because I think I built up something in my head that just, it wasn't. And that's neither good nor bad. That's, I didn't write the book, so I don't get to make all those decisions. So I will probably read number 2 to see what I think of that, but I'm just not sold on this series. Next up is the Musical Murder Cozy Mystery Series. This is by K.L. Montgomery. The first book is called The Sound of Murder, and I think I gave it 3.5 cups of coffee, maybe 4. I definitely will continue this series. It is right up my alley in theme. It says plus size chorus girl Ruby as she and her traveling theater troupe visit cities all over the world to stage musicals. If a series was ever written with Tiffany in mind, this is the series. This is it. This is it. This is it. So I definitely will be continuing this series. Next up at number 21 is the Luscious Delights Cozy Mystery Series. Book 1 is called The Pepper Peach Murder. This is by Meg Benjamin. I really enjoyed number 1. I will definitely continue. My only thing that I'll say about this series is I felt like there were some things that you don't normally see in cozies that could have easily been left out. And my problem with it, well, one, I like traditionally cozies, but and again, not enough that I won't continue. I will definitely continue this series, but my bigger issue with having it in there, it felt like it was forced. Like, I want to push the boundaries of what's allowed in a cozy, so I'm going to keep doing this. And it didn't feel natural. It felt very much like, nana, nana, boo, boo, I'm putting this in, and I don't like that. Personal preference. You might not even read it and think that at all. So, take that with a grain of salt, if you will. Next up at number 22 is the Salon cozy. It's called Sheer Fear of the Curl Up and Die. This is by Belinda Page. I will be continuing the series. I gave the first one 3 cups of coffee. I definitely want to at least try number 2. Not totally sold, but I'm dying for a Salon cozy. Get it? Dying. I do like the Nancy Cohen series, so I want to continue that, but I think Salons is a perfect place for a cozy mystery because talk about like the gossip and all of the stuff that can go on itself. I feel like it could feel like a small town, like just within the shop. So I'm just always looking for one. And so I will try number 2. Next up at number 23. Oh, there is a series I didn't start. Is the Frankie Amato Cozy Mystery Series. This is by Tracy Andretti. I did not read number 1. I will, but I think I really need to be in the mood for it because the main character is a private investigator. I don't think that they're like an amateur sleuth, which is fine, but I definitely want to be in the mood before I get into it because it looks like such a fun cozy by the cover, right? So I just want to make sure I give it a fair shot. Next up at number 24 is the Amish Seamstress Cozy Mystery Series. Book 1 is the only book out, so I'm caught up on this series. Look at me. It is called Murder of an Irish Bridegroom. I gave it 3 cups of coffee. I love Amish cozies. This one was, I will read number 2. It's the first in a series, so sometimes the first in the series is a setup to really the meat and potatoes of the series. It's by Patricia Johns, and if more come out, I will definitely read. 25. I ended on a high note because this was a favorite of the year. Oh my gosh, it is the Golden Motel Cozy Mystery Series by Ellen Byron. I have officially read every Ellen Byron book out. That is not true. I'm lying to you again. I don't think I've read the latest in the cooking cozy. But I have it on my list. The Halloween one, I didn't read that. So I lied. But alas, I've read everything else that she wrote, including what she wrote as Maria Dorico. I love her writing. It just works for me. Everything about it just works for me. And this one, A Very Woodsy Murder, features Dee. And Dee is a television screenwriter, and she's kind of pushed out. They're like, hey, you're old, get out of here. That's not really how it happened, but that's basically what happened. Just with a little more, you know, like manipulation and code words. So she's kind of, you know, deciding what she wants to do next. And she sees this old rundown motel and she's like, hey, why not? And her business partner, who is her ex-husband, they are now the best of friends. I love that dynamic. I think it's amazing to be able to move on from love, but still be amicable, and even more to be friends and best friends. I think that's absolutely amazing. I love it so much. And this was just, it was just so much fun. It was just so much fun. I love like motels, and well, this is the only motel one I've ever read, but B&Bs, inns for places for cozy. So this was no shock. And it was definitely no shock that I loved it because I love Ella Byron's writing. I want to know what series you started in 2024. Certainly what series were your favorites in 2024. Give me a big thumbs up for this video. And until next time, may all your future reads be 5 stars. Bye, everybody.